It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 9 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a theory that was going around a while back regarding Rick's fate in Season 9. I'm going to revisit that theory here, but I'm going to dive deeper in the theory and talk about some new things that were added into the theory. So this is the Rick not dying theory, or the Rick's going to disappear or be kidnapped theory, or whatever you want to call it. So the theory is that Rick is not actually going to die in Season 9. He's just going to disappear. He's going to go away, kidnapped, whatever, and he's going to come back. Now, looking at the source material and look at some of the things that happen way in the future in the comics after where we are right now in the story in the show, we can see that they could potentially be doing some sort of remix and bringing some elements of that in earlier, or planting the seed for some of those things a little bit earlier and making the payoff be way, way bigger than it was in the comics. So for comic readers, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna kind of give some sort of background for those of you that don't read the comics. So in the comics, after all that war, there's a time skip, and we have this story that we're going to see in the show in Season 9. Then after that, after a certain group of villains join in and are defeated and a new community is introduced, we have a scenario where one of the characters, Michonne, in the comics, is actually reunited with her long-lost daughter in that new community called the Commonwealth that they come across. And you know, that's a pretty big deal in the comics. It's a big reunion. And that was a key part of the initial kind of agreement, or the initial kind of trust element between Rick's communities, Hilltop, Kingdom, and Alexandria and others, and this new community called the Commonwealth. Now, they could potentially be bringing that in a little bit earlier. They've already been planting the seed for that, believe it or not, because in Season 8, we had Georgie, who was this character that came out of nowhere with two other characters, and they basically gave some blueprints to Maggie about how to grow, how to build the community and everything. And, you know, we do see that Maggie is using that in Season 9. She's rebuilding the hilltop based on the blueprints that Georgie gave her. Now, the thing is that Georgie could potentially be, and I was against that idea, but the more I think of it, I think that it's possible and it could potentially work if Georgie is the TV show version of Pamela Milton from the comics. Pamela Milton is the leader of this new community, the Commonwealth, that they find. And it's a pretty big community. It's the biggest one they've seen so far. I'm not going to reveal too much, go into too much details, because even if you're not a comic reader, you're going to possibly see that in the show. So I don't want to give it away, but you know, it's a pretty big community. So that could potentially be them bringing in some elements of the Commonwealth way earlier and introducing us to who will eventually become the leader of the Commonwealth. So just to put that in another perspective, I think if Georgie is the TV show version of comic Pamela, I don't think that she was the leader of Commonwealth. I don't even think the Commonwealth existed when we met Georgie. I think after Georgie left, assuming again that Georgie is the TV show version of Pamela, that after that, Georgie found the Commonwealth and basically built that community to be what it will eventually become, as it is in the comics. So that's one portion of it. Now, the other portion is the helicopter. They've been teasing the helicopter, and there seems to be something significant about the helicopter. So part of the theory is that the helicopter is actually what's going to be causing Rick to go away. So the helicopter was from the up-and-coming community of the Commonwealth, or whatever they want to call it in the show. Georgie being the leader. Of course, when they first saw the helicopter, it was not from the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth didn't exist. They were just scouting the area. Georgie was seen around that area around the same time. So Georgie could potentially have been in that helicopter as well. Now, the helicopter that we see in Season 9 of The Walking Dead is the same one, with a big difference this time. Because when we see the helicopter this time around, the Commonwealth might actually be built. And it might potentially be a growing community. It's probably not going to be as big as it is in the comics right now because, of course, there is going to be time that needs to pass before that point if it's going to work out with the comics. Even though they're going to remix it, bring elements of it in a bit earlier, it's not going to be introduced this early. But assuming that's the point, maybe Rick somehow is captured or is kidnapped or whatever, or he voluntarily goes with the helicopter to see what this new community is all about. And for whatever reason, maybe he's not able to come back, and maybe they have to go looking for him. And maybe that's where we get introduced to the Commonwealth. So maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe after we have this time jump in season 9 that we will get the new villains. And after that whole story with the new villains, we do have the group going out looking for Rick. And maybe that's where they will be reunited with Rick. So much like in the comics, Michonne was reunited with her daughter, Elodie, I believe her name was. In the show, we could have Daryl being reunited with Rick, along with other characters. Maybe Michonne will be one of them as well. Maybe Michonne, Daryl, and the others will be reunited with Rick. And in a way, this reunion would be much, much bigger than it is in the comics. And if you think about it, if they don't immediately tell us that this is what it is, we're going to be waiting and guessing about whether this is actually going to be what they do. And even for comic readers who might know that this might be coming, it might not be necessarily 100%. They might not necessarily know for sure 100% that that's what they're doing with Rick, and that Rick is going to be in the Commonwealth, reunited with others when we get to this point. Overall, I think this is definitely a possibility. Whether I want it to happen or not, that's a different story. I think if they do it right, it could definitely work. But I'm concerned that Rick being away for so long, people might get irritated. Even if we know he's going to come back, we're going to be irritated about his disappearance. And we might constantly ask, where is Rick? Even for comic readers. But I want to know everyone's opinions about this. What do you think about this theory? And for comic readers, do you think it's a good idea? That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for future uploads. Like the Facebook page of this channel to join our Walking Dead community. Join us live every Friday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time for a Q&A session. See you all there.